So we're back again doing the same video about Iran. I went over the video from yesterday that I posted, and the audio was terrible. I don't know what happened, but I do know what happened. I fixed it now. I had double audio running from the webcam and the mic at the same time. And then I also had an audio capture input for my sources on OBS, which I guess I didn't need. So everything should be good now. But let's get into this and go over the Al Jazeera take on the protests in Iran. Oh, and also there were some new things that came to light today anyways about the situation. Trump actually threatened to take military action against Iran, which is crazy. I don't know what this old head is thinking or what's wrong with him, but let's get into this.
To Iran, where protests against rising living costs have been gathering pace in recent days, with the president calling for national unity and solidarity. In Fars province, security forces fired at protesters while crowds tried to storm a local government building. Authorities say at least one person has been killed in a western region. Iran's chief prosecutor has warned of a decisive response if the protests threaten to destabilize the country. The demonstrations began on Sunday after shopkeepers in Tehran's Grand Bazaar walked off the job. Iranians are angry at the rapid decline of their currency, which is one part of their worsening economic situation. President Masoud Pezeshkian has appealed for unity. He says that there's pressure coming from inside the country and from abroad.
We are engaged in a full-scale war. Right now, the enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. You cannot conquer a nation with bombs, fighter jets or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground. And if they were to confront this nation on the ground, if we remain determined, united and committed to working together to make our country proud, it would be impossible for them to bring Iran to its knees.
Tawhid Asadi is in Tehran. Tawhid, protests started in Tehran, as we said, with shopkeepers, but they've spread far beyond the Grand Bazaar now of the capital. How big has this become?
Well, actually, over the past few days, we have been witnessing sporadic protests here across the capital, even though for the past 2 days, the situation looks to be a little bit calm compared to the days when it started in the vicinity of areas near the Grand Bazaar of Tehran and Jumhuri Avenue. And if you look at that location, you can understand what is all about, and it's basically about the economic demands that people are raising. And of course, as you mentioned, it's not just limited to the capital. In major and now in some small cities of the country, we have been witnessing the same amount of protest, even though I can say that it has yet to gain the momentum, the traction. We can see from time to time different protests in different cities of the country. The latest report comes from Kuhdasht, a city in which the escalation ramped up, resulting in a sort of confrontation between protesters and security forces. And according to the latest report, one of the Basij militia was killed in this protest, and also 13 other security forces were injured. But all in all, the picture is that the security forces are practicing extreme amount of caution, seeing the very fact that the country, the state, the security apparatus is not really, they are all not interested into further escalation of the situation, because if that goes to a nationwide level, that would be running the risk of going out of control. So we see a sort of patience when it comes to security forces and when it comes to the political discourse that we have been hearing over the past few days.
You know, in the past, when the Iranian government has been faced with protests, they've always ended up cracking down on those protests. Sometimes, I should say often, violently cracking down. What is the response now?
Well, actually, I would say it's different. It's quite different compared to the previous times that we witnessed protests in Iran. First of all, it's interesting to note that the Secretary General of the country said that any sort of action to destabilize the country is not going to be tolerated. Meanwhile, interestingly, he said that we understand that it is the legitimate rights of people to take part in peaceful protests, considering the economic hardship that the ordinary citizens are dealing. At the same time, the spokesperson for the government, Fatima Mohajirani, came out with the same sentence saying that Iran recognizes the right of people to take part in protests. That's a totally different story, Cyril, because in the previous rounds of protests, first, we didn't have such a reaction, and second, we didn't have such an immediate reaction. The government coming out very soon after the protests erupted to acknowledge that, yes, we understand that there are difficulties, we understand the social and economic realities of the life for people, and at the same time, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, over the past days, in several occasions, in an interview, he is repeatedly saying that the government is working hard to deal with the difficulties. They are trying to come up with measures to settle down the economic difficulties for the people, and he just introduced a new set of measures accompanied by appointment of a new governor for the central bank of the country.
Tawhid Asadi reporting from the Iranian capital. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure in that video there was government employees who were, I don't know if they were police, military, or whatever, but they looked like they had some type of riot gear on, and they had firearms in their hands, and they're walking away from the crowd, not engaging with the people. Which, I mean, I'm pretty sure the thing that Trump said was that if they keep killing civilians, we're gonna get involved, which is like, these aren't peaceful protests. They're not killing peaceful protesters. There is people throwing Molotov cocktails, throwing rocks, setting off fireworks or makeshift explosives, and they're causing destruction and injuring and or killing government employees. So I'm pretty sure if a group of people in America went to like a government building and actually like caused harm to someone, it would be a huge problem in America. So I don't know why like he's talking about anything in another country.
These protests, which started in Tehran at the beginning of the week, appear to be spreading, and the crackdown from Iran's security forces appears to be intensifying. So what started as a protest by merchants in Tehran's bazaar shutting their shops, angry about high inflation and about the Iranian rial crashing to a record low against the US dollar, has now spread to multiple cities, and the merchants have been joined by students at universities and pretty much anyone unhappy with the government's repressive policies, and they allege extensive corruption and mismanagement of many issues. So this follows a number of crises which have weakened Iran's clerical regime, notably a terrible water shortage in Tehran in recent months, and in June the 12-day war which Israel started by attacking Iran's nuclear facilities and ballistic missile sites, and that led to Iranian cities, particularly Tehran, being bombed on almost a daily basis, and a number of civilians being killed, and Israel killing a number of senior Iranian officials and scientists. The Iranian military was completely unable to counter Israel's air power, and the Iranian population felt absolutely defenseless in the face of Israel's attacks. There's also been repression by the Iranian state after the war, with Iranian police and security arresting hundreds of people, accusing them of spying for Israel, and putting a large number of people to death as well. So these are the most widespread and dangerous major protests since the Woman Life Freedom Marches in 2022 and 2023. Now, the Iranian government has brutally repressed protests in the past, killing hundreds of people, and rights groups and protesters in Iran fear that might happen again. But what's different about these protests, according to analysts and people we're speaking to in Iran, is just that the situation is so much more desperate. People say they can't afford food. Inflation has reached really crisis levels. Services are starting to drop off, and the government has just proved unable to respond to this situation. So more and more people are desperate, and there's real doubts about whether the Iranian security forces are going to be able to contain the protests this time around.
Yeah, so I mean, these are like, I guess they're protesting peacefully in some areas, but in others, I mean, these are like full-blown riots, and it's a danger to everyone. So I don't know. Let's see
President Trump and top officials.
Let's see what Trump has to say about this.
Officials in Iran are now exchanging threats as protests across the Islamic Republic turn deadly. Several people have been killed during the growing demonstrations sparked by economic hardships, and President Trump says the U.S. is ready to intervene. In a social media post, the commander-in-chief said, quote, "We are locked and loaded and ready to go if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters." But Iran warns U.S. intervention in Iranian domestic issues would bring chaos across the region. CBS News Middle East reporter Courtney Keeley joins me now from our Washington bureau with more on this. Courtney, what's the latest reaction to what we're hearing from both President Trump and officials in Iran right now?
Well, we've heard and seen that locked and loaded quote on Truth Social, and what's happening in Iran is the top leader to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Ali Larijani, has posted in response. And what he's saying is the U.S. should watch over their own soldiers, that Trump started this adventurism. Now, there was a message from the Iranian president before President Trump posted this, saying that it was a domestic issue, it was Iran's issue, and they would take care of it. But now you're seeing this escalation, and while Ali Larijani says watch over your own soul.
Yeah, so like this video and a couple other videos they're showing, I showed on the Telegram portion yesterday, which I'll go back on there in a few.
Soldiers remember in June when the U.S. struck the nuclear power plants inside Iran. What happened was Iran retaliated by sending missiles into Qatar at the Al Ubaid Air Force Base that the U.S. Air Force Base has there.
And Courtney, are these protests showing any signs of slowing down?
I love how they respond like that after time has gone by. So everyone who didn't keep up with this or doesn't know about this, they think that Iran just sent missiles to our base that's in Qatar. They warned us first and warned Qatar, and everyone evacuated the base. They sent the missiles over, and all missiles got shot down. And this is a thing that a lot of people typically do so they don't wind up going into a full-blown war with the U.S. or other major superpowers in the world, which is, I don't know, I feel like it's a waste of missiles.
Right now, I mean, what's the vibe there?
Well, it's spread. So it started in Tehran. It started the bazaars with people selling electronics, and it's about the inflation, 36%, the collapsing currency of the rial, but it has spread to multiple provinces and multiple cities. So while we're seeing them smaller in different cities, it's not as large as the protests of 2022 for Mahsa Amini, who was killed because of her hijab or her headscarf. But we are seeing that this is a real response to the Iranian government's inability to fix the economy. There's been threat that Tehran is going to run out.
Oh, and even that is like some propaganda shit. Like, if you think she just got killed over the hijab, then you got a lot of research to do. Like, obviously, she was making noise politically against the government. She was anti-IRGC, so she is going against the government. And that's what the problem is. And the hijab thing is just an excuse to get her in some type of custody. But I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there was no law in place that says you get put to death if you don't wear a hijab. And Iran at this point in time, 2026, they have we've repealed that law. There is no law in place that says you have to wear a hijab in Iran anymore. The only country on the planet where you have to wear a hijab and it is law is Afghanistan, and that's the only country.
Out of water. So whether these protests erupt into something bigger across the country, we have to see. But this is not a problem that's an easy fix.
Okay, lots to follow here. Courtney Keeley, thank you.
Texas was feeling.
Okay, that wasn't much. It just said, it just basically said that Trump threatened them, like, which is, I'm not sure why he would do that, but right now I'm gonna go over to Telegram.
Now Texas is an open door to new turbo.
Don't know why that started playing. Get out of YouTube. Oh, actually, I'll go on X first, and not gonna show the screen while I do this, just because. Well, I'll pull up on the screen. I'm gonna go on X real quick and see what I could find that's YouTube friendly. But after that, we'll go to Telegram. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just come over to me on X or Rumble. It's Kumo DTV on Rumble and X, and Instagram, all other platforms. YouTube is just KumoCast. Where's my guy, Suleiman? Oh, he's in a space right now. Let's see, let's search on his profile, Mossad. Okay, yeah, so here we go. Like, they just did a raid on a home of a Mossad asset who was organizing the violent riots. So I largely believe this is influenced by Mossad and CIA assets in the country that is trying to cause an uproar, trying to get the current regime overthrown. They want regime change really bad, and they will do a lot to see that that happens. So let's see if there's any other yeah, like this one right here on Suleiman's page says this is Mossad-led fire bombing of a shop. Like, they're doing stuff like this, and then they're saying it's peaceful protests. If you kill the peaceful protesters, we're gonna invade, basically is what Trump is saying. Like, does this look peaceful to you? Because, I mean, a couple things like this happened during the George Floyd riots, and that wasn't acceptable here. And I'm pretty sure if there was like National Guard or police on the scene when people actually like set fire to things, it would be a problem. Or if they were like throwing Molotovs at police and doing things of that nature, it would be an actual problem. But yeah. Yeah, so even look at this. Okay, I'm gonna pause this because I didn't know that it was gonna be like changing. But yeah, so if you're on YouTube, come over to X or Rumble, and you'll be able to see the rest of this video. So for all my people that's on X and Rumble, I will now be going on Telegram.